Scott, I'm not really sure where to start today, but I will ask about this interview that Mark Carney gave to the BBC, something being made of the fact that why did he go there? Why didn't it happen in Canada? There's some question as to when this actually happened. What do you know about that?
Not too much. And, I don't get too fussed about it. I don't know that I used to be communication instructor to a prime minister. I don't know that it would have been the recommendation I would have made. My guess is that it was prior to the conclusion of the campaign. I think, as the re-elected prime minister, probably makes sense to make your first interview with Canadian outlets, or if you were going to go international, it would be very purpose-built, right? Like you would want to do it, I'm going to do it with the Financial Times because I'm talking about some new initiative. I'm going to try to strike a deal to make Canada part of the EU, or I'm going to do it with the Washington Post because I'm going to announce that I'm coming down there and here's some red lines I have in terms of striking a new deal with Trump on trade or something like that. But I don't know the backstory, and it's a little bit puzzling. He's going to hold a newser tomorrow, and we'll be off to the races, and we'll soon forget that he talked to the BBC first. I think.
Okay. Can I shift back to something else which concerns Pierre Poilievre? We talked about this, of course, as many people did yesterday, this idea of what's next. Is he going to step down? It's been pretty much, I think, radio silence since the speech on election night, rather. What have you heard?
I don't think there's a chance in hell he's going to step down, and I don't think he'll probably get much pressure. I think there's some people that are in the conservative movement who are probably looking around going, this guy's a problem. And, we're going to have to be honest about that. But I don't think Mr. Poilievre has any intention. This guy wanted to be prime minister since he was grade 7. He was that guy. You know that guy, right? Who showed up to geography class and wingtip shoes and a blazer and a briefcase, right? He's been talking about being prime minister since he started getting pimples. And he's not going to let go of that goal. And yes, he lost the election. And yes, they blew a 26-point lead. And yes, he lost his own seat, which is outstandingly hurtful to him. But he raised the party's popular vote enough, and we're in a minority parliament, so I think he's going to be able to say, I'm staying on. I don't think there'll be a mounted push on him. I don't think there's a challenger. I think he has big command over the party rank and file, even if he doesn't have a plan that automatically adds up to winning a government. And so I think he's going to get another shot. But, and I'll just add this as the last thing, but you know what you need to do in a situation like this is book some time with the mirror and look at the mirror and say, what did I do wrong? Don't tell yourself what you did right. That's already on the record. What did I do wrong? What adjustments do I need to make in my composure, in the voter coalition that I'm building? What changes do I need to make about myself and the way I appeal to voters? That is what Stephen Harper did in 2004 when he lost. He said, what adjustments do I need to make? How do I broaden my appeal? How do I make this last mile travelable? And right now there's zero sense that kind of reflection and contemplation is happening. They're pointing fingers at Doug Ford. They're blaming other people. They're acting like they won, saying that they've had more votes than anybody else. They need a little contemplation. They need a little reflection. Because you don't learn if you don't think.
To your point, Scott, I don't know anything about this other than what I see, just like every other person out there. And I'm thinking to myself, Pierre Poilievre doesn't strike me as the kind of guy to want to do or think it's necessary to do that kind of introspection.
I think there's probably a strong school of thought, probably including him and certainly around him, that says, hey, man, we got 41% of the vote.
Yeah, right.
So Trump screwed us. If we run the same campaign and we get the same number, we win next time. So we don't need to change a thing. We just need the world to change. And that's a bad way of thinking. I don't know about you, but I've discovered parts of myself that are less than perfect. And I figure the answer is always, I got more work to do.
Look, we'll see. I will bring up one point here, and it's being talked about. I'm not sure how important this is, but I guess liberals like to talk about this. Does this mean now, given the fact that he's not officially the leader, that he has to move out of Stornoway? Is that the talk over there?
I think that's kind of how it works. I mean, I don't know. I don't know if somebody shrugs their shoulders and says, we don't care if you stay. I don't know that somebody wants to kick him and his family out necessarily. I guess the one thing is, He plays such hardball. He's such an unforgiving, nasty ball of wax. When he goes at an opponent, right, there's no allowance for the possibility that somebody made a mistake, but they're inherently a decent person. It is that, those people are evil. So he plays hardball every time he puts on a glove. And, you ask yourself, would he make this allowance for someone? Would he show this grace towards someone else? Or would he rub their nose and snot and say, sorry, tough luck? That's not the right way to look at it. I shouldn't be driven by what he would do. I should be driven by what I ought to do. But it has to be tempting to watch a guy who would blade you as soon as blink at you. Then you know what? I'm not going out of my way to do you any favors, dude.
Yeah, I'm just thinking, though, Mark Carney could play the statesman here and say, you know what, go ahead and stay. I think that probably scores a lot of points for him. And for some conservatives as well, if he were to do that, doesn't it?
I don't know. I mean, maybe among some. I'll tell you this. Whenever the next election is, I think it will have the square root of nothing to do with whether or not Mark Carney allowed Pierre Poilievre to remain in Stornoway. But, I mean, if I was advising him, to be blunt, I would say give them a pass. Who cares? Don't be small. Even if he's small, don't be small in return because, whatever. He's gonna force some member in a safe riding to step down. He's going to run in that by-election. He's going to win. He's going to be back as the leader of the opposition. Just to be a dink, you're going to keep him out of it. I don't. The kids. He's got kids. Think of the kids. Don't
do the old think of the kids. Yeah, okay. Yeah, that's a good one. Think of the kids. Yeah, of course. No sense in being vindictive. Think of the kids. I would ask one last question. We haven't talked a lot about Jagmeet Singh or the NDP after, the terrible result, of course, on election night. I wonder, though, what the future is for this party altogether, right? I know they're going to appoint a new leader. Is this going to make a difference, or are they a spent force, do you think?
I don't know that they are, but I don't know that they aren't. And I don't say that to be unpleasant or to kick them when they're down. I say it for this reason. I've heard a lot of New Democrats say, since the results started coming in, that, Mark Carney's got to be careful. A lot of New Democrats, because of Trump, because of Poilievre, they lent their votes to Mark Carney. But if he abuses that, they may take those votes back. And I don't think that's the way politics works. I think if you believe that your party's resurrection is inevitable, if you think that there is something absolutely predictable about your rallying, your comeback, you're making a mistake. I think in 2011, the Liberal Party was facing an existential threat. It overcame it, but it was. And there was absolutely nothing inevitable about their survival. They had to make the right decisions in order to get by. Same thing for the Conservatives in 1993. And truth be told, they didn't survive. They had to morph and merge and become something else. So when New Democrats act like this is a low ebb, but it's just an ebb, I would be a little more aggressive on my perspective. I'd be thinking to myself, what do we need to do to make ourselves indispensable to Canadians and voters? Because if you just assume that people will drift back your way, you could find yourself sitting on the dock really disappointed.
Scott Reid, thank you very much. I hope you feel better.
Sorry.
That's okay.
I got a bug in my throat. Have a great night.